All right, for more reaction to the Canucks dressing room cleanup, here is our Vancouver bureau chief, Farhan Lalji. Some pretty honest and candid comments from Elias Pettersson about his play in the postseason. What was your takeaway from what Pettersson had to say in his final media availability?
Well, I think as much as anything else, you could just tell how much this entire thing weighed him down. As you know and probably heard, he had some colorful language to say about his season, and I'm not sure if he necessarily felt that was how he played after the All-Star break, or if it was just sort of what he felt about the description of his play at that point. But nonetheless, he did admit to an injury, the only Canuck player to do so. And we know it was a knee injury, or he tells us it was a knee injury that got worse the more he played. And I'm also told that there was a quad tear that was part of that on the same leg. Rick Tocchet didn't necessarily overplay the injury, saying it was more tendonitis than anything else, and that they did consider, or at least have conversations around, what was the best course of action, and decided there was no need to shut him down. So, I'm not sure if Pettersson felt the same way or not. Ultimately, I think he was competitive and did want to play, but there is no doubt this was a completely different player after the All-Star break. He had 55 points, or 72 points, I should say, in his first 55 games, just 23 points the rest of the way over 40 games, and that includes the postseason. So wasn't the same player, isn't going to need surgery, but I think he just wants to leave the entire situation for a little bit, get healthy, and put his mind in a different place before training camp next year.
All right, well, let's stay on the injury issue here. And Brock Boeser spoke about the blood clot that kept him out of Game 7 against the Oilers. Also wanted to ask you about Thatcher Demko. I mean, these are two major pieces to Vancouver's championship aspirations, and they both weren't really available at the end. Any timeline for recovery on either player, especially Boeser? That was a scary situation.
Yeah, as far as Boeser's concerned, I mean, fortunately, it's not life-threatening. It's not career-threatening. He does believe he's going to be able to train really immediately, right? I mean, they're going to limit and monitor and be conservative with their approach in terms of how he gets back to full action as far as, what he would like to do rehab-wise. But he can be active to a point. This injury actually began after Game 1. He took a puck to the calf in Game 1, and then they began monitoring it. And then they did a scan after Game 6 and realized this has probably gotten a little more serious, and they needed to be cautious and not let him play in Game 7. So a heartbreaking situation for him. No reason to believe he's not going to be able to play and make improvements during this offseason, but he talked about just how heartbreaking it was. And as far as Demko, he said that he fully believed that he would be playing in the next round, the current round against Dallas, had the Canucks got to that point. I'm not sure his loss necessarily affected them as much because Archer Silovs did play well. He's not Thatcher Demko, but he's also not the reason they lost, whereas in Boeser's case, you could really see how his absence impacted this team in Game 7.
Farhan, this Canucks team has a group of very intriguing free agents to be. You talk about Elias Lindholm was so good for the Canucks in the postseason, as was Nikita Zadorov. And then Tyler Myers has been around for a while, among the most notable free agents to be. Who do you think will sign and stay in Vancouver?
Well, I think Myers, there's a high probability. There's a number of family reasons that he wants to be here and, has really gotten comfortable here. His offseason home is up in Kelowna. I think that'll get done. I think Dakota Joshua will also get done. Obviously, he's put himself in a pretty good place financially in terms of what his expectations should be after the season. But the fact is that this group, this coaching staff and organization helped get him there. So I think there's some optimism around that one. Zadorov will be interesting. He kind of downplayed what everybody believes his salary expectations are going to be. This guy is someone the market absolutely fell in love with. The pokes at the Edmonton market even today probably endured himself even that much further. But I mean, look, this guy also had a great playoff and put himself in a pretty good position. Lindholm is going to be interesting. I'd be surprised if they were able to get that done. They'll have those conversations, but at the end of the day, you can't pay a third-line center $7.5 million, $8 million a year if that's what it's going to take to get it done. He likes it here. It might take a little bit less, but not significantly less. And, after that, Phil Roenick, who had a bit of a prickly interaction with one of the reporters here locally today and doesn't necessarily talk a lot, likes it here, likes the opportunity to play with Quinn Hughes, but he's a restricted free agent, so he says a lot of this isn't necessarily up to him. I don't buy that because RFAs in today's climate do have a lot more leverage and pressure points than they necessarily want to let on. But if the number for him is 7.5 to 8 million, I just can't see the Canucks paying that to him. And he certainly had a bit of a drop off in the second half of the season as well, although didn't necessarily cop to an injury. So I think Lindholm is going to be a tough one. Hronek, interesting because he's an RFA. I think most of the others, I'd be surprised if the Canucks didn't get them done.
Okay, the countdown's on. We are 5.5 weeks away from free agent frenzy. And this is our Vancouver...
No, Jay. Jay,
what?
we are starting... Football season starts tomorrow.
I'm sorry.
That's where we're at, Jay. Please get excited.
You're
it's
right.
Time
You're
to
right.
Football.
My mind is in the wrong place, and I'm even wearing my summer suit. I should know that. The football season for Farhan and everyone in Vancouver starts tomorrow. Thanks for this, buddy.